Welcome to Beyond the Press Release, a production for Gorecom in which we take the time to speak with small cap executives after they put out big cap news. With us today, happy to have him back because he keeps putting out monster news, is Jay Hutton. He's CEO of VSBLTY Group, trades on the CSC on the stock symbol VSBY. For our friends in the US, VSBGF, and of course for our friends in Europe on Frankfurt under 5VS. For those who are new to the story, and we know that's going to be some of you because the headlines just keep bringing in more and more people. What is VSBLTY? They're a disruptive computer vision. Remember that, disruptive computer vision software company that's using artificial intelligence and machine learning to transform the retail and security space. What they're doing is, for lack of a better term, screens that you've seen around you in the retail environment, in the bricks and mortar world, that are just screens. They're now artificial intelligence screens, and their security at the exact same time. More than just lip service. Amongst the many deals the company signed, the company signed a major deal with Grupo Modelo, which is part of the Anheuser-Busch family of companies, to create international digital in-store media network for up to 50,000 Modelorama stores. 50,000 stores. These are going to appear across Mexico and across Latin America by the end of 2024, with the first 5,000 locations to be installed by the end of 2021. Today's news, VSBLTY and Onyx Glass are jointly creating the first patented opaque to 100% transparent glass cooler doors featured full color video. So those boring glass doors that you see in your convenience stores and grocery stores, you open them up to pick up your yogurt and your ice cream and your frozen foods or whatever, those are turning into screens. That's because of VSBLTY. Jay, you keep knocking out of the park. Welcome back, man.
You did a fabulous job describing that technology. Excellent. Well done.
Hey, easy to do because it's so amazing, right? So before I get into some of the details about the press release, what you're doing, what does this say? I mean, you guys keep signing deals with industry giants, right? I mentioned this one here with Modelorama. Last month, in April, Taiwan-based Ability Enterprise, you signed something great with them. What is it? Why is it the world's biggest companies are coming to VSBLTY?
That's an excellent question, and I haven't quite been asked that before, but giving it some thought, I think the best answer is, listen, as a small company, it's easy to be distracted by deals that you think put points on the board, but it's more strategic to focus on the big boys, because what we have to bring to them. So I'm old, and I've seen a lot of this story before, and I work for large companies, and when large companies look at small companies, it's easy to think that they look down on small companies. It's actually not true. What they do is they look to small companies to drive innovation.
Yeah,
because they know inside the large companies, processes and bureaucracy keep the innovation from happening at the large companies. Their processes get in the way. And I guarantee you, although I can't disclose specific executives, there's very large company tech executives that say that exact thing to me. We need you because we cannot innovate at your speed inside our company. What we do have and what we can do is accelerate adoption. We take your stuff, we put it inside of our stuff, and using the reach, in our industry, they call it rails, which is distribution. The reach into the marketplace, we can bring that to you, and you can bring the innovation to us. And in the combination, we both win. We've always had that theory and hypothesis from VSBLTY from 2015. And what it requires management to do is not focus on the base hits. Focus on the grand slams. And if you do that, maybe it takes more time, okay, because they're big companies, they take a while, and then negotiate hard, right? But when you have them, it's a barrier to entry. You've taken the time to land them. You're now embedded in their business. You're integrated in most cases into their actual products. And now you've got some inertia. Inertia works against you when you're trying to enter, and it works for you when you're already in. So the company, all of our executives, the founding team is 50 plus all of us. So we know, mostly, frankly speaking, from personal experience, because we know what not to do. We've done the what not to do. And this requires you to be more patient for sure. And in many ways, it's anathema or in a contradiction to the whole public company cadence. We're not announcing base hits every 3 weeks. We took many years to put these deals in place. With Embera in particular, 4 years. We've been talking to Onyx in South Africa for 7 years.
Come on.
It takes a while to put together, but when you finally coalesce the vision and strategy, this is what happens.
Does this, when you keep announcing, and we're going to go into this Onyx deal in a second, but I want to make sure people understand this. As you slowly announce Grupo Modelo, Onyx, ability, and more, does that accelerate the conversations you've been having with other big tech companies who are saying, all right, visibility is on its way?
Yeah, what a great point. And ability is a great example. So the derivation of ability, where we started with them, was probably July of 2020. And July of 2020, we were introduced to Ability, who is a very close co-development partner with Intel. That means that they buy chipsets from Intel and they embed those chipsets on the cameras. This is AI on the edge, right? Which is the enormous, hugely impactful architectural change in the business. And then Intel introduced Ability to Visibility because Visibility had the unique ability to run our inference logic, our algorithms, directly on the metal of a camera, which is not commonplace. And fast forward 9 months later, it's still not commonplace. We developed our first iteration with Ability in November of 2020. And that relationship went from we didn't know them at all to now we have a global, highly collaborative business development relationship in 9 months. So the point is, when Intel lead blocks for you, things can happen. And that's true across all of our large multi-billion-dollar partners.
And I'm going to move on to Onyx now, but last comment is a lot of companies, a lot of small cap companies like to use the term GeorgeCom. We're a disruptive widget company, right? But when you describe yourself as a disruptive computer vision software company, is there any doubt that you are one of the top disruptive computer vision software companies on the planet, if not the most?
If you're in the tech space, part of required reading is Jeffrey Moore's Crossing the Chasm, which is how you develop new markets and how you gauge. This is critically important. How you gauge where you are in that markets. Are you at the early adopter? Are you with the, where are you? Are you at the commodity stage? And so if you've read that, you understand that critical to our success is defining where we are in that market cycle and finding partners that can help us get through that market cycle. And if you don't bring innovation at certain levels, your spend will be outstripped. Well, you'll spend more money than necessary for the outcome. And so it's important to understand exactly where you are in that cadence. And that's why our relationships allow us to accelerate that whole adoption cycle, if you know what I mean by that.
Yeah, no, I got it exactly. And I'm glad I want people to hear that from you, not from me. So let's move on to Onyx here.
Sure.
Your quote: "This innovation will open the floodgates for targeted activations in store and help to catapult the store to be part of a dominant media channel." How big is this deal with Onyx Glass to create these opaque to 100% transparent glass cooler doors?
Onyx is a critical part of it, and I don't want to diminish the role, but together, Visibility and Onyx have gotten together to combine a hardware solution, which is innovative in and of itself, with the software solutions that Visibility delivered, which is measurement, via computer vision, display, all the components that we deliver. So that combination then gets wrapped up together and we walk it over to Embera. Embera is the largest cooler manufacturer in the world. They have the largest market share. They're based out of Monterey. They have significant traction, principally in grocery. Coca-Cola is their biggest customer, as an example. So if you think about what's the most valuable advertising physical space in retail, thinking principally about retail, grocery retail at the moment, it's the cooler. It's the cooler just because it's large, it's physically large. 39 to 45 inches, depending upon the type and nature of cooler. And it's a destination location. Now I'm into the shopper marketing lane. People go into grocery to buy something that it only located in the cooler or the freezer.
Absolutely.
In many cases, they don't.
That's why they're always at the most visible parts of the stores, convenience stores, gas stations.
Right.
The first thing you see are these big cooler glass doors.
So if you believe in the store becoming an advertising medium, and if you don't believe, I'm happy to have that conversation. But if you believe it, we happen to believe it, then there's two locations in the store that are the first to be monetized, the first to turn into advertising revenue. The end cap, the end of an aisle, because of frequency and traffic only. And the cooler, because of form factor and the destination nature of the cooler. So this checks the box on one of those two platforms. And we're not done. If you think about what's happening in grocery, you'll see two types of physical deployments of cooler. You'll see standalone coolers, market dominated by Embera. And you'll see what they call in the industry a cold vault. That's a single cooler with multiple doors. Think Costco or Sam's Club or LCBO, right?
Right.
That marketplace is dominated by one big player. And that would be a really nice next step for us. Wouldn't you agree? So we're talking about dominating the cooler category in all form factors for advertising. And again, it requires or is predicated on your belief that advertising will take off. We happen to believe that. And this is our strategy to dominate it.
So let's talk about the market for it. So you create the product. Obviously, you guys have gotten together to create the product because the marketplace, Onyx's clients, whether it's Onyx or more importantly, Embera, right? Someone along the way has said, hey, we want to turn these into something that targets people better. We don't want just dumb glass anymore, right? So what are you hearing about what the opportunity looks like? And I'm not asking you to give you a projection or anything like that, but how big is the market for this and the appetite for it? We know the market's massive because they're in every retail location you can think of, gas, convenience, Costco, retailers, groceries. But how big is the actual market for the appetite for this?
In the next 2 years, the U.S. domestic marketplace for digital cooler, if you'll allow me to use that phrase, because it's brand new, right, is about $1 billion. And there's 2 or 3 players. We're the only ones with full transparency. You might say to yourself, well, that doesn't really matter, full transparency. Here's why it matters. How do you think Coca-Cola would feel about you obviating or occluding their product from being seen?
Oh yeah, that's a big part of it. Their product sits right
behind that glass door. They spend millions of dollars on packaging. Millions of dollars is spent on packaging. And what you're saying to them is, we're not going to display your packaging in retail. That's a no-go. Absolute no-go. But the marketplace has grown up despite the fact that the guys that are leading it right now, among the category leaders, have developed technology that is not transparent. We've been doing it for 4 years. We shelved the initiative back in 2016 because we weren't able to meet the price points that would allow it to inflect. Now we are. With participants like Intel and Embera, now we are about 50% of the price that it used to be. And we have a very large beverage. Everyone knows these guys. I'm not going to say their name, but they said to us, I remember this. I remember the meeting. I remember the location. In 2017, they said to us, if you can cut the costs by 40%, we'll buy millions. Now, there could have been a ton of hyperbole in the comment. No doubt there was. But the point is simply this. It will inflect when you get the price into a civilized territory, which more than anything with Embera and Onyx, that's exactly what we've done. That's why we're so excited about it.
How long until you guys think you actually start going to market?
We're in market. We have orders. We're shipping product.
When we get a chance to actually see it, have you provided some video yet for all of us to see it in action?
Little
because
snippets.
This seems almost Tom Cruise. What was that movie? Yeah,
Minority Report.
It seems almost Tom Cruise Minority Report right now.
Yeah, it is. It is disturbingly so. Yes. However, the reason why we're not announcing it publicly is the first adopter wants to be the first adopter and have the cachet of being the first adopter.
So there's a big order. So you're telling us here right now, there's a big order out there. There's a big customer and they're in.
That's correct.
How long then until we find out, when we find all that out?
I suspect it'll be inside the Q2. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So they want to actually they actually want to distribute. They actually want to get some of these going.
Yeah.
Man,
here's the thing. And you know, this may be a subtle point, but 70% of us are influenceable at the point of sale. 70% of us, 70% of us make a decision to buy something we had not intended to buy. So think of you going into the LCBO, into the man cave, into the beer cave. And you know, maybe you're a Stella drinker. Budweiser guys would be happy about that you'll be a Stella drinker. But maybe today you want to try Coors Light. What if Coors Light had a promotion that was driven to you specifically at the point of sale that caused you to shift your allegiance? That happens, and that's money that brands will pay all day long for. So the objective here is to influence you right where you're making that purchase decision, not at a billboard on the way to Loblaws, but in Loblaws, so that you can be influenced right at the point of sale. This is what's on the line for these brands. All of this happening, George, in an environment where there are more and more restrictions on how they can advertise. So at the point of sale in a liquor store, you can be assured that there's a certain demographic there and a certain demographic that's not there. So the restrictions are a little bit more relaxed, and now you can do more things at that point of sale.
And are these going to be AI driven, just like?
Absolutely, because
AI driven, right?
AI is how I give Coors Light return investment. There are multiple metrics. There's the lift. We sold 22% more Coors Light when we ran this campaign. That's a very meaningful lift and a critical lift. You'd be lost without it. But I also want to know, what time of day do the 35-year-old males come in? Do the females come in? When do they come in? Do they come in Fridays or Saturdays? All of these metrics, inspired by and delivered by artificial intelligence, are correlated with other programs to learn more about their customer. So data is king. If you look at Coca-Cola, they have 800 people whose responsibility is to learn about their consumer data. Budweiser, AB InBev, has a similar ridiculous number of people responsible for that obligation as well. So we're pivoting. The entire industry is pivoting, and artificial intelligence delivers a level of information and insight that we never had before. That's why it's impactful.
Look, I'm the most in control shopper there is in the world. I go to the store, I need two things. I get those two things and I walk out. But even I am susceptible. So I could, if something like that's going to work on me, I can't imagine what it's going to do for the masses. I can't imagine the ROI that's going to come back. That's going to be generated by your partners.
If you're a brand manager and you have a decision to buy internet ad impressions or in-store ad impressions, and you're a consumer packaged goods company like Johnson & Johnson or Unilever or Coca-Cola, where are you going to spend that money? At a minimum, you're going to split the spend. Right now, it's not split. It goes to the internet, and that's it. So we've got a huge opportunity starting from almost ground zero.
You know, I think about it, you can't help but think about extrapolating. I'm not just talking about extrapolating for revenue and units. That's, yeah, everyone's going to do back of the napkin math there. But at what point do you just become part of, I don't want to say it, but at what point do you almost be, 3 years from now, 4 years from now, almost become a Google, because you are so influential in decision-making at the point of sale, whether it's in Latin America through through Anheuser-Busch, through Onyx and this partnership here. At some point, you just have so much data that you're generating from around the world that the computer vision just becomes the delivery mechanism. But at the end of the day, you're more of a network.
George, that's the secret sauce. And only a few people understand that. I think for us, there are two exit paths. the one exit path is to exit to somebody that sees the value of the data. But understand that data is only valuable insofar as it's archived. So right now we have combined 50 terabytes of data. In 2 years from now, that'll grow by 1,000%.
Yep.
2,000%. So our value grows as that data set grows.
Absolutely. The longer you hold on, the more valuable you become.
Right. And what's next? And the reason why that's important is what's next. What's next in retail is predictive. You can only do predictive if you're sitting on an archive of machine learned computer vision data. So you can run algorithms on what's a 35-year-old likely to buy between 3 and 5 on a Friday in the summer. That's a machine learning artificial intelligence challenge. And all the big brands, this is why they have so many people looking at data. All the big brands are looking to solve that rubric. Once that's done, we're going to exit to one of the big boys, Google, Intersection, which is also Google, but the various flavors of entities that are interested in that data set. Our value over time won't be our SaaS revenues, even though I'm extremely proud of the SaaS revenues and I'm excited about the growth prospects. Our value over time will be our data. And there's a couple of people within our ecosystem
doesn't
right
get more
now.
granular than that, right? It just doesn't get more granular.
Right.
Internet gives me intention. Okay, George is searching for a soft drink, whatever. But that's intention. Okay, that's good data. But the best possible data, period, is at the point of sale, right in store.
Because we can impact and influence behavior.
I mean, I can see supply chains being streamlined for an entire year. 3 years from now, you've got so much data that CPG, consumer packaged goods companies, can start to predict what products are going to move in the first couple of weeks of May, what products are going to move in the first couple of weeks of July, and they just streamline and optimize the supply chains perfectly for that.
And the piece of that, I don't want to tell secret stories out of school here, but the thing that AB InBev gets, and we're just so blown away that they get this because so many CPGs don't, what they get is the ability for digital display in store when correlated with transaction log becomes so meaningful, not just with respect to how we're governing ad engagement and consumer engagement. That's one thing. But what are the ramifications on supply chain? That is enormous. And they save way more money on operational efficiencies driven from supply chain economies than anything else. So the two of them combined is a wholly, it's a merger of two incredibly valuable data sets.
Hey,
they get it, and they're the only ones that get it that we've run into so far. I'm sorry, George, go ahead.
Well, if you're going to give credit to AB InBev, how about credit to me, who just figured out in about 22 minutes of talking?
You belong as a thought leader in one of these CPGs, because there's a lot of draconian thinking, right? There's a lot of Neanderthal thinking, but there is some pockets of really interesting thought leadership going on right now.
Yeah, I can see tier one thinking, which is, okay, we can sell more George Com popsicles. Great, let's get on this. But the real power is you have that predictive data for that. You'll know what kind of popsicles work and which one works better at which time of the year.
Demographically broken down, which is fascinating to me.
Well, man, I cannot wait to see these in action. Hopefully we're going to see some, I don't know, I guess you can't really tell us, but if they're going to be anywhere within a 250 kilometer drive of Toronto, I want to know when they're going to be.
I'll keep you posted. Yeah, I'll keep you
posted, because I want to go there and I want to videotape them and I want to,
yeah.
I want to see them. But
right now, for a lot of reasons that you'll understand immediately, that retail is a little bit repressed in Ontario at the moment.
Just a little, but it's not going to be long, right? So the timing, no. I mean, if this announcement was last year, man, you're putting on the brakes heavy. Now you're ramping up. Yeah. Right.
And that we have enormous exposure to American retail, and they're very forward thinking, and they're very, they move aggressively. And they've been inspired by what's happening in Latin America. So we have deals that have come to us merely because of our proximity to that large iconic brand. And it gets us into conversations that we previously kind of had no business being part of. So there's a real opportunity here that if we're able to really take advantage of it as an organization, which I'm committed to doing, that we'll be in great shape as we own and be among the pioneers in this category.
Look, I've been doing this, Jay, for 24 years now. 24 years and 1 month, almost to the day. And I've learned what to look for and how to spot winners and how to spot the guys that are trying, and they're going to try and, muscle it out, but it's touch and go. It's clear as day to me, and I'm just going to make my own opinion. And this isn't a stock opinion for anyone at home. I'm talking about the business. Quick, Jay and I have said this: capital markets aren't what Jeff Bezos said. Capital markets aren't the business. The business isn't capital markets. We're not talking about the stock, but it's clear as day to me that within 2 years from today, I'll almost bookmark it and come back. The only question is degree of success. That's the only question. And I'm talking about complete global blowout or the lower end being complete continental blowout, for North America. But there's no doubt in my mind that you guys, doesn't matter what capital markets are doing today, are now on your way to an unbelievable success.
My lovely wife has suffered through 5 startups, and 3 of them did not do well. 1 of them exited well, but this one has all the characteristics that none of the other 4 had. And what I said to her quite recently, actually just this spring, we're now past the point of, is this thing going to make it? It's a rough derivation of what you just said. We're now about what's the quantum that we will achieve here. And that's, what is that? What are the stats, George? 90% of companies don't even make it to that point. So I'm delighted by that. But again, this is now not, and I don't know if I've ever said this before, this is not about demand. This is not about going and marketing the company and selling the story of the company. It was that. For a lot of years, it was that. Evangelical selling, concept selling. Now this is about execution. The jets are on the deck. It's making sure that they can fly. And so the organization's pivot, mostly driven by my sometimes forceful personality, is I don't care about new demand. I mean, I do understand that I'm not saying we don't do that, but my focus is on landing and executing the things that we have, because if we do that and we do it well, optimally, we're $1 billion market cap. So every other problem goes away.
You've got enough referenceable accounts now. You just need to execute those.
Right.
You don't need. It'd be great if more came in, and I'm presuming more are going to come in.
Sure.
But the biggest priority right now is execute and tell the world, yep, we did this with AB InBev, done. We're doing this with Onyx, done.
Right.
And then the world is your
oyster.
oyster.
So George, we don't talk about proofs of concept. If one of our salespeople comes to us with a POC, we say thank you, but unless it's 100 stores, 1,000 stores, but we're not interested. Not because we're not interested, we're not cocky or dismissive. It's just that you have so many things you can do. Dividing up your time to 10 of them makes less sense than dividing it up 4 of them. And so last comment on that, because I just thought of this. Very soon now, we'll be announcing 2 partners that are our answer to scale. What you could reasonably look at in Latin America, this company, I love it. They're inspiring, passionate, all the good things that people say about us. But 55,000 stores, that's moving a lot of people and a lot of equipment around. It's break fix, it's monitors, it's computers, it's cameras. It's like a lot. It's a lot. So from the very beginning, we understood our weakness was we needed an in-country, omniscient, omnipresent partner that's enormous, that could deliver this alongside us as our delivery partner. We've landed that. And we're contracting it now. And I think it's important that I deliver to the marketplace the confidence that we are no longer sweating scale. We've solved those problems. We sweat other things for sure, but we don't sweat scale. And that's really a critical plank in your hypothesis of what does it take for us to be 10x versus 100x, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. No, Jay, that's an amazing, amazing way to end it off there. And actually, I was going to ask you, let's have a 2-minute conversation on Grupo Modelo, but I think you've kind of given us a glimpse as to it's all going well. So we don't need to revisit that. And I guess we'll wait for you to make these announcements on these partners and then do a deep dive there. But in the meantime, man, congratulations from somebody who's been in the industry for so long, watching so many growth companies. What you guys are doing right now is unbelievable. We're not going to pop champagne until you've executed, because by your own admission, but I'm confident in that. But for now, at this moment in time, you guys have hit it out of the park, and you're exactly what the small cap sector needs
Thank you, George.
to prove what small cap companies are capable of. Jay, way to go, buddy.
Thank you.
For everybody at home, you've been watching or you've been listening by podcast on Spotify, Google, Apple, or your favorite podcast platform, to Jay Hutton. He's CEO of VSBLTY Groupe Technologies. Visibility without any vowels, okay, in case you're new to the story. Trades on the CSE and the stock symbol VSBY. In the US, VSBGF. And in Europe, under 5VS. 2 ways to do your due diligence. 1, get to the visibility hub on Agoracom and look at the profile page. We know there's a lot of technology. There's a lot of complexity. Brand new, groundbreaking. You're going into frontiers that we've never seen before. We're hearing about it for the first time. We get that. So we've got it all neatly laid out for you in layman's terms in English for you to understand where this company is and where they're going. And then from Agoracom, hop over to the company's site and do your second wave of due diligence. Based on what you've heard and watched here today, it behooves you, if you're a small cap investor, this is your job, but you've just discovered one of the best small cap companies of all time, potentially. You have to decide that. We can't decide it for you, but do your due diligence, because 12 months from now, I don't want you to say we didn't tell you so. Have a great day. See you next time.